Okay, so today, I don't know if you can see this. There's my foot. There's the clutch. This is one of the commercial irritations of life, and it frustrates people because everyone's used to a synchronized transmission where you can pop the clutch halfway down and just shift gears. Now, Eaton transmission, can't do that. Shutting the reefer off because there's nothing in the truck right now. So, there's 3 pedals. There's a clutch, there's a brake, there's a throttle. This is what this foot does. 1 foot. Can't see squat. Anyway, so the clutch. Should have brought a flashlight. I didn't know I was going to have a manual truck today. So the clutch has some free play. When you check it on your pre-trip, you're going to push it all the way and make sure it moves freely. Now, everything down here at the floor, clutch brake. Everything all the way off. There's your free play. That's enough free play. It's like 1.25 inches to 1.5 inches. Ideally, 1.5 inches. Then here is your friction zone. So, the reason why we're talking about this is because this transmission, Eaton, not synchronized. So, International put a neutral start switch in this truck. So you push the clutch in, and then you start it, right? So in order to actually get into gear, you have to put the clutch in, and then you'll kind of hold the shifter against the gear, and then you'll let out, and it'll suck itself right in. See that? Okay. Now, road speed. This is an engine speed. Seems stupid, but we're talking about it for a reason. This is the only way that we have to know roughly how fast the transmission is turning over, because the transmission is made into the engine via the clutch and a lot of hardware. There are 2 ways to shift a non-synchronized gearbox, crash box. This, not a Honda Civic. You can double clutch, which means clutch goes in, I go into gear, make this easier on myself, so I'm in gear, right? Clutch in neutral, clutch in gear, clutch in, clutch out, clutch in, clutch out. That's how the world works. Okay. Now, in order to prevent yourself from blowing your freaking knees out, I'm in a parking lot, right? There's like nobody around. I'm screwing around on my lunch. So, in order to prevent you from blowing your knees out, or because truck drivers are the way we are, or because the system just works this way, most of us only double clutch when we absolutely have to, and for the most part we float. So I have driven about 200 miles. In the 200 miles that I have driven so far, I'm going to drive another 60, I have used the clutch at stoplights, at stop signs. I don't use the clutch every time I shift. It's not going to blow the transmission up. There are no synchros in the transmission to destroy. It's a 7-speed. So, we start the truck, right? After we actually get the truck into some form of gear, release the parking brake, right? So now, in order to go somewhere, we're just going to let the clutch out. Now, shifting theory says when you double clutch, you go clutch in, clutch out into the next gear, you give it a second to match. Now, floating, which is shifting without a clutch, is a little bit easier. You'll let the clutch out, the truck will take off, and then you hold it against the gear and it sucks itself right in. I'm doing this while I'm on my way out of this parking lot because I don't want to hang out here forever. So, one more time. Here's the actual... you can't see it. But here's the shifter. So you put it out of gear, hold it against the gear, it goes right in, let out, hold it out against the gear, and it shifts. Smooth, efficient. Do not try to do this without practice. Please, for the love of God. And don't shift during turns, even though I just did. It's bad on shit. And if you miss a gear, you will get stuck in neutral and you will stop, and that will piss people off. So, that in mind, have a good morning.